Hi, this is a mock family assessment session with Andy and Brandy. It is not a real session. It is used for grading purposes only, and we will be working through a clinical interview part 1 and various assessments as an assignment. So, say hello, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Andy and Brandy are engaged. They have been together a little bit over a year total. They both are divorced. They both have children. So this is an interesting opportunity to work with them as an upcoming family more so than a already united family. Okay, so part of the first interview is going over basics. And basics meaning confidentiality. And what that means is what is said here stays here. This is not open for public discussion or to go beyond my doors. Granted, my professor will grade this session, but other than that, it's just us. Along with confidentiality, though, since you are a couple that is getting married, you're blending families, I prefer no secrets. I know that there are going to be times when things come up that might be touchy, but I prefer no secrets. So, if something comes that you need to have an individual session with me because there's something you need to discuss before you tell your partner, that's fine, just let me know, and we can do that. Okay? So you understand, no secrets. The other thing that I need to get out of the way is just general health. You both look healthy to me. Brandy, sorry about your foot. Miles, get down. Andy, how are you feeling these days?
Good.
Good. Medication's working?
So far, yeah. Everything's right on track.
Good. Nothing that I need to be out in the front about? No suicide ideations or thoughts or plans?
Nope.
Miss Brandy, how about you?
Alright. I just stopped all of mine a month ago. All my medicine. Well, part of it
What made you stop?
didn't work.
Are you going to try something else, or you're going to try going alone?
Mm-hmm. Good.
Are you taking any supplements or anything to balance out that?
I just take like thyroid, blood pressure medication, and then like Xanax just to keep on an even level. But they had me on lithium. She kicked it to 750. I can't sleep. Told them no, stop taking all of it.
Did they recommend anything else?
Nope.
Okay.
Wouldn't recommend anything else. I took that and Lamisil and I don't know, Lunesta. What else was there?
I think that's it.
Four or five pills, and I don't sleep, so I quit taking it.
If
Told
it-
my regular physician Monday, and he said okay.
If at any time you need to get a hold of me because you're having a rough moment, just call. Okay? Because there may come a time as you're coming off of those meds that things get a little bumpy. And if they do, call. The least I can do is listen and walk you through it. That being said, you said you stopped it about a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
Any issues with suicide or thoughts or plans or okay, good. So that's good. This session is being videotaped only so that my practices are seen since I am new to being a counselor. I do have a master's. I have passed my exam, but I am not what they call fully licensed yet. I am still under, supervisory.
Right.
So that's what the video is for. I will get a critique. I will gladly let you know, share any information that we gather as we work together. Okay? The other part of therapy is goal setting. With you guys being new, this kind of gives us an opportunity to make goals for individual and for as you blend your families in your marriage. When do you plan on getting married? Have you set a date yet?
Not
Not really.
quite yet.
Not quite yet.
Yeah, still in the works.
No problem with that. That's okay. I do know that you guys are blending families, and I know that there's a chance, Andy, from talking to you, that you're going to get your girls.
Very possible after what I found out.
Okay.
So,
How are you feeling about that? Since you're new together,
honestly, I'm feeling a little anxious if I do get him, and how I would react to having him full time instead of just, you know, the part time that I have him now.
Okay.
But I know with Brandy's help that we can get through it and do what we got to do.
Is that possibly one of the issues that you guys want to cover through counseling with me? Is how you can do that together? Since it does make you anxious.
I know it makes her a little anxious too, but
It
yeah,
does, but, you know,
I think it, you know, might help.
It can be one of our goals, is why I'm asking.
Mhm.
We can set the goal to how you guys can still make time for yourselves and blend in with the girls coming, if they're coming or whatever.
Right.
Okay? What is something else that I might be able to help you guys with?
talking to them, they need it.
Okay. I've offered before to talk to the girls.
We-
Um,
No, we need it. The oldest one,
Mhm.
she needs it. It's there.
okay.
And if we don't, I can already see the writing on the walls of what it'll be. And it's not me. It's not, you know.
See, I've had a couple of sessions with Andy in the past, but he was single.
Mhm.
And I have offered to talk to the oldest. The mother would not allow.
Mhm.
So at that point, if you guys decide to let me talk to her, we will just have to do a consent. I'll have to see your divorce papers. If it means I have to contact your ex, depending on if she's in or out of incarceration, there are just some different boundaries there.
Right.
Okay?
Absolutely.
She is a minor, but again, there is a certain amount of confidentiality that extends to her as long as she's not a harm to herself or anyone else. And I know that that's been an issue in the past too. Fair?
Yes.
Andy?
Fair.
Okay. If you have questions, you are the parents or guardians, whatever, I can answer certain things under the confidentiality or what she gives me permission to answer.
Right.
Okay? As far as counseling as a family unit, that's fine too, but it's still going to be the no secret rule. It's still going to be a safe zone. It's going to be, it stays here, it doesn't leave here. There's no discussing it once you go beyond, unless it's a homework assignment or you call
Right.
me,
Right.
you know.
And that won't happen if we're both here with her at the same time.
Exactly.
She'll go home and talk about it. I've made her a book of anger
Okay.
things and
Well, that's
stuff.
good.
I've got her. I made her a book and it's got stuff in there and triggers and
Okay.
things like that.
So do you want to make that another goal on other
We-
things that you might be able to do with her, whether they
We
come to
have to.
counseling or not?
We have to.
We have
she
to.
put her hands on her sister. We have to.
Okay.
She physically put her hands on her, left marks across her arm.
Was there a reason?
Because their pair of shorts was on a bed, and she had grabbed her and then held her against the door and wouldn't let her out till I hollered at her, told her to come out, and I told her that was never going to happen again.
See, that's a little different from before. She was not necessarily showing aggression, but she was speaking out in a different manner at
Mhm.
school.
We
So-
have that, but she's got the aggression to the youngest, a lot more at home with her mom. She admitted to us
Mm-hmm.
finally, and they're not in the same room at our house. They are their moms, and she admitted to us she does it all the time to her because she makes her mad. I said, no more. You don't put your hands on your family. You know, we don't do that.
There are
So-
things we can do with that.
right.
You
And
know,
so,
one of the things I recommended for you was a punching bag. Somewhere that she could take her aggression out, or you could take your
We-
aggression out without deflecting it to other people. Not necessarily a punching bag, but some.
right, exactly. So
You know.
that's what this book is. I'll have Amy bring it to you and let you
That would
look
be
at it.
great.
I printed it online, and it's got a lot of I's in it, and a lot of things of I am good, I am this, and
Right.
then you go through there and what triggers you to make you angry and stuff. So she wants to sit down this weekend as him and I, or just him and her, and visit.
I know from talking to Andy and knowing Andy the little bit of time that I have, that you're going through the VA, which is where you get your medication.
Mm-hmm.
I am assuming you now have another counselor, because for
Yeah.
a while there you were without one.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that we do, if that person needs to see it, if you will give them my information, I will make sure, because you are under care. This is strictly for an assessment purpose for school. I don't want to cross toes with
Right.
your counselor. When you were without one, that was a little different.
Right.
Okay. So right now we've got a couple of goals. Number one is blending families. I know you have children. I'm not sure what your ages are.
I got one. She's 23.
Okay, that makes it a little easier.
She's 23, and
Next you'll be having grandbabies.
we already have a granddaughter.
There-
We're
there you
good.
go.
I have a grand dog, and that's about as far as I want to take it right now.
So for a couple of goals, we're going to talk about blending marriages. There's obviously some PTSD with Andy, and as we go through some of the assessments, we will find out if there's anything we need to cover for you in that area. Obviously, you've been on medication, so we'll go that route. And then helping the girls individually and as a family,
Mhm.
okay? Andy, you know this is a lifelong process.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that you have to embrace, and you have to be willing to do the homework and stay on task and call when you need help and all of that, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Brandy, have you ever been through any type of counseling in the past? No.
Mm-mm.
You-
I don't believe in it.
Why?
Been there, done that, tried it.
Okay.
Didn't work.
Can you
Tried
tell-
the marriage counseling with my ex-husband, and before we got completely divorced, and all she would do is talk about herself, and he lied, and I got up and walked out. Done.
Okay.
Over.
What I can tell
And-
you with me is I'm not that way.
And I'm just one of those people, I don't talk about a lot of things. He doesn't know a lot of things, and a lot of things just don't be said.
And that's okay. There are a lot of people that are like that. The only thing I will ask you to do is embrace whatever we do together. And if you
Yep.
want me to tweak it for you individually, we can. I'm not afraid to have you journal to one another, because sometimes writing it is easier than saying it.
Mhm.
Kind of like you're doing with her daughter with the anger book.
Mhm.
I statements are great. I statements are great, even for us as adults. I'm not going to push you. If you have something to say, that's okay. Silence is an answer, and I will give you time for silence. As a couple, hopefully I can give you some skills that let you talk to one another, even if it's in passing. And that's all you need until you're comfortable with one another. Because it is different alone than when you bring children in,
Yeah.
especially if there's trouble.
Mhm.
Okay?
I agree.
Fair?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for me or our session?
No.
Okay.
We're good.
Andy, I have given you a psychosocial in black ink. This is part of the assessment part. This will not all be done today. Some of it will carry over to the next session because I don't want you brain dead when you try to drive home. And it's a lot. Brandy, I've given you yours in purple. And in front of you, the other piece of paper that is in front of you, this one, is the voluntary intake form. This is what we're talking about as far as this being a mock session. It's going to go through married, divorced, widowed, how many kids, what type of job. If there's any pressing issues, this is something that you've already filled out and we've already discussed it. So this is just showing you what, basically what we've done. And then I'll have you sign it before we leave today. Fair? Okay. The other piece is a psychosocial. And the psychosocial, what it does is gives me history. It gives you a chance to say things that you would not necessarily say out loud. And it's going to be just for me. And you each have your own. And I'm not necessarily going to share the information with you. But we will work on it together. Okay? Obviously, it asks for your name. You can either give me your first name, you can give me initials, whatever you're comfortable with. I know who you are, you know who I am, that's all that matters, okay? So, as we go through, and it is several pages long, it does ask about past history, it does ask about medication. If you've had any diagnosis, like I said, I know Andy's PTSD. If there's anything that I need to know, that's what this psychosocial does. Okay? So, if you look at number of siblings in your birth order, if you have brothers and sisters, number of siblings birth order, Would you write that down for me, please? Because birth order matters. It matters when we go into next week with the genogram and everything else.
So just put the number of how many I have.
How many siblings and what order you are. You know, if you're the,
How about like that self sister brother?
there you go.
Snap.
Yeah. She's first.
I know, right?
Are you the middle child?
No.
No. No, he's the big brother.
Oh, better than the baby. Okay.
Not my
So
family.
the next one says relationship with parents. Is it good? Is it functional? Is it not so good? Is it distant? And I'm a southpaw too, ma'am.
My mom, that's good.
How were you disciplined as a child?
You don't want me to answer that question? With my mom? Yeah, no. Just grounded or whatever. Because I was in charge, you know, discipline, grounded eating. Nothing back.
I always was grounded.
Nothing by her.
Abuse issues. Emotional, mental, physical, spiritual. Okay. The next one says sexual orientation. Heterosexual, homosexual,
Trying to learn that
bisexual.
one.
There's even a new one out there called pangender. Just depends on if you ask Miley Cyrus or not.
You know.
Okay, obviously you're engaged, you're sitting here, so is there any developmental issues? Dyslexia, did you never crawl? Did you, you know, what? Do you have taste aversions to certain textures? It's that type of a developmental issue. And if none, just put NA.
She has issues with certain fabrics.
So I can't touch velvet, okay?
Exactly.
All right, give me a break. I don't like the feeling of velvet
Just-
or foam. I cannot touch egg crates. No.
It's creepy.
That's not developmental. That's just because I don't want to.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I mean, we are allowed to do that, right?
You are,
Okay,
absolutely.
I can't
fantastic.
really answer all of that honestly because I don't know much.
Education, school history. You know, where'd you graduate? High school? Do you have college? I mean, obviously you both graduated to some extent, so even if it's GED. The next one is military. I'm not going to ask you for a DD 214. If you tell me you were in, you were in.
No, I wasn't in. My ex-husband was though. That's what
You mean put the branch that I was in?
It's up to you. This is strictly informational for me to build your assessment file. That's all. Work history. We all wish we were retired, but we are not.
No, they're just gonna back up and put me in.
Right?
Currently.
I think I'm working till I drop, so.
Well, I always tell them they're just gonna back the Hearst up. That's all that they can do.
Andy, I gotta tell you, you did put a nice ring on her hand.
It's
No.
dirty. It's all dirty now because
It's still beautiful.
It is.
I'm not, you don't have to do previous work history that's not necessarily something that I have to know. Current financial status, you don't have to go into detail. If you're living within your means, if you're living beyond your means, if you are not paying anything, it's just gonna give me a diagnostic tool.
We don't discuss money.
Okay? Leave it blank. That's fine. Put we don't discuss money.
Yeah.
Well, that's my issue, not his. Then she don't discuss it. I don't discuss money.
It's okay. I'm not pushing.
Well, he knows what I mean.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of this. This gives you an opportunity to maybe get past some of that if you need to, or to be able to be comfortable having separate accounts and never having it be an option. You know what I mean? Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm the mean one.
I don't know. I bet you I could trump you if I tried. Legal status. Denies a problem. You can read these. Resisting orders. You know, this is, if you were court ordered, you would mark court ordered. If there isn't anything, you can put NA. Something that I do like to take in consideration is your religious and spiritual orientation. It doesn't necessarily mean we have to operate that way, but if there is something that you want done a specific way, Bible verses or homework that revolves around your spirituality, that's why I have to have an answer to that question. Otherwise, we will move on as if
This
it
will
is
be
just
mine?
normal. You're fine.
Yes, well, we have a little difference, but that's okay.
That's no-
We work through it.
If you didn't have a difference, would you be a couple?
Probably not.
The
Oh,
only
no.
way you wouldn't have a difference is if you were both coming from the same Catholic school. Because then you have the same exact doctrine at the same exact time of your age. Otherwise, there's always a difference. I'm trying to read this upside down.
Raised outside
Okay.
of the U.S. No. And then
Don't lie, Andy.
history of ritual or religious abuse.
Again, that comes back to certain stereotypes for certain religions and things that have possibly. Current spiritual issue. Do you pray? Forgiveness. God is love. Do you believe in a higher power? What is your preference for right now today? If you believe in a higher power, that is a preference. And if you don't, NA.
How about borderline?
Cultural issues is next. May or may not apply. But sometimes the way you were raised in a certain culture, if your parents were separate cultures, affects your relationship. And that's where this question comes in, is if there was a cultural issue.
Oh.
Okay, this gets a little detailed, especially when you have a big family. Family history is going to go through parents, siblings, kids, that type of thing. So, number of marriages. You don't necessarily have to tell me the name of the spouse. Just put the number of marriages.
This is for ourselves, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
If you have children, we've already disclosed that you have a 23-year-old. Yours is going to be a little easier than his. If you are divorced, just put divorced. I'm not so much worried about the year you were divorced.
Need to know how long on both of mine, the duration.
Would you like to tell me? Is that a problem?
Nope.
Okay. Almost looks like mine.
I don't know.
Children.
Yeah, I'm gonna need one more line.
That's okay. Put it up here on this
No,
one.
he
Actually-
needs 7. No, he needs 6
I
lines.
need
You
6.
can write on the back. You write on the
Let's
back.
see.
Popular
First
man.
one was 18.
Fertile man.
Well. You just write it on the back. This one.
18.
Mhm.
And,
And his children have the most unique names.
Oh, you're telling me? Because I had to write them down to even know how to spell them.
I'm not sure I can spell them.
Oh no, they have their own nicknames.
That
We've got
helps.
nicknames. I gave them all nicknames, and oh, they love me. I don't even know why, but
It shows that you care. You're
the two
willing-
oldest ones I don't know, but the other ones they've got their own.
You're
so.
willing to give them a nickname that is all their own.
Oh,
That's-
yeah.
That's a sign that you care.
Yeah.
The next question might be a little bit more troublesome. Just know that, like I said before, this is between us, family problems. Part of that is what we are doing here, the goals that we are aiming for. You know, is it about financial? Is it about blending the families? Is it about abuse? What family issues are you having?
Like, you mean current or
Current.
back in the day? Oh, current.
As of today.
Oh,
Verbal, physical.
Not with each other, not with just each other.
I had to throw that in there.
I
but
hate to say this, but she'd take you out.
I know she did. That's why I just.
I only say that because I know you'd never hit her.
No.
The next question is your living arrangement, your home environment. I know you guys just moved, so, you know, that may make it a little more difficult to answer, but answer the best that you can. And it is going to involve the children. I know you get them every other week right now. So, you know, what does your home environment look like?
I don't know how to describe it.
That's
Wild.
the description.
Wild.
You know, keep it simple, lively, struggling,
Day to day.
supportive, moment to moment. You know what I mean, Andy? Keep
Yeah.
it, because we can go into more detail as we need to. You know, if it's explosive, it's explosive, but that doesn't mean it's always explosive. You know what I mean? We can get into length of time, overtime, since this is a new situation for y'all. Social peer groups, whether it's as a couple or individual. Who is your peer groups? Who are your social groups? Do you have a church that you attend? Do you have a best friend that you run to? Who, you know what I mean? And maybe your parents. And if there's nothing, we will move on. Now you have each other.
Yeah.
Or at least you're working on that. Turn to the next page.
She doesn't beat the crap out of me. We're all right.
Nah. All right. This next one is potential complications, special needs. If anybody's epileptic, diabetic, asthmatic, just kind of go through there. And if you are one of those things, poor social skills. This is about y'all, not so much the children at this point. It's about you individually. If it's NA, just mark NA or draw a line through it so that I know that we don't have to move, we don't have to worry about that so much. This next part's probably one of my favorites.
Oh wait, can I start with weight gain? And I can tell
Sure.
you why. Oh yeah.
It's part of it.
Oh yeah.
Although weight gain comes with relationships, we get happy and we eat more often.
I won't put the AKA name of it. I'll let that be there.
It's okay. Other problem behaviors. If you are a gambler, if you have a sexual addiction, if you are deep into porn, if there are any other problem behaviors. And if none, just write in it.
Overeater.
If it's not listed and if you need to put it down, then there's another. Okay. This is one of my favorite parts. Assets and strengths. This is where you get to tell me what you are comfortable with. What you, for like, support a family. You know, if you are the supporter of your family, that is a strength. That is an asset. That type of thing. If you don't find anything there, but you feel that you do have something, there is an other. Insight into present illness might fall for you because of what you do for a living. You know, it's just picking out strengths and assets.
You don't have below average on intelligence, so
Knock it off.
That just means
For
you
me.
can't claim that.
I know.
There you go. Intelligence is intelligence. It doesn't matter what level it's at.
Can you just put needed? Financial
Sure.
status needed.
Sure.
Yeah.
You can.
You know,
I think we all agree with needed.
I'm saying.
It goes beyond want.
Yeah.
Once you're done with that, we're going to take just a short break and just go over a couple of things so that I can finish up our video, and then we will finish this before you leave this evening. You good, sir?
Mm-hmm.
You good, ma'am? Okay, so we have talked about confidentiality. We've done your intake. We've set some goals, things that we're going to work on. It may take us 3 or 4, 5 sessions, but even once the kids become involved, that's okay. We're going to finish your psychosocial this evening, and then next week when we meet, which we haven't set a time yet, but we will. But next week when we meet, I have a couple of other assessments that I want to go over with you guys. It's an individual assessment for each of you, but it works on you as a couple. And it will allow us to kind of chart where your negotiation skills are, where your thought patterns are as a couple, how comfortable you are with one another. And it'll give you some areas that we can work on and set other goals if we want to. Is that good?
Mm-hmm.
You have any questions for me at this point? Okay.
Mhm.
All right, I'm going to shut this off and we're going to finish your psychosocial.